What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We are here with our first official review of the new year, and today we're breaking down M3GAN, the new horror thriller, which is one of my most anticipated horror films of this new year. Now, the question is, did it live up to those expectations? Do we have a new horror icon on our hands, and is this film worth checking out? We'll be discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler-free review, but before we get into it, let's start the conversation in the comments section. Let me know if you were excited for M3GAN, and of course, once you've seen the film, let's talk pros and cons. But let me know your favorite moments, your favorite kills, and what were some things that didn't work for you all. And more importantly, after seeing this film, do you want to see more from M3GAN in the future? And of course, if you all enjoyed my review today, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up as well as sharing it. With that being said, let's get into my positives. First things first, for me personally, this is one of those rare cases in which I saw the trailer for this film a couple months ago, and I was sold on the concept of this killer AI doll going ham, going crazy, and now after seeing the film, for me personally, it delivered in that concept for the most part. What I mean by that is, when I saw this character for the first time, I knew what they were going for, and this film is exactly that. And just like M3GAN, this film is very self-aware. It can be campy at points, it can be cheesy, but can also be fun and extremely entertaining, and it is definitely a crowd pleaser. Speaking of crowd pleasers, M3GAN herself, oh yeah, she is a legit star. But I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting this particular aspect to be so fleshed out. What I'm referring to is, I knew at the bare minimum that this film would at least try to tackle the idea as us as a society, we rely so heavily on technology. But this film doesn't just glance over that topic, but instead it looks at it and it actually continues to focus on that topic throughout the duration of its narrative. For example, we have our main character, Allison Williams, who plays Gemma. Now, Gemma is someone who's very career focused in her career in robotics, and she finds out the unfortunate news that her sister and her husband die in a car crash, and Gemma is left with the responsibility of taking care of her niece. Now, Gemma isn't naturally a caretaker in that matter, where, matter of fact, she actually immediately when she gets her niece, she puts technology in her hands and allows technology to try to help her through the grieving process. To me, that's a bad idea. She should be able to talk to her niece and give her that much needed human interaction. It is in that moment right there that the film actually observes this everyday conversation with kids nowadays, ranging from as young as 1 year old, being so, in my opinion, over inundated with technology, iPads, iPhones, etc., and using the technology as not only a tool for learning, but a way for those kids to communicate. Now, I don't want to offend anyone in the comments. I understand the benefits of using technology, but we can all admit that some people take it to their advantage and let technology not only raise their kids, but use it as a way to shape their kids' minds. Again, I just wasn't expecting this film to tackle that subject matter in such an in-depth manner, as well as handling things like grief and death as a concept. So this film definitely has more than meets the eye. Pivoting over to some of the performances in the film, starting off with our lead young actress. I'm talking about Violet McGraw, who does a really solid job, in my opinion, as our Katie character, who has to shoulder a lot of responsibilities, and she showcased some range in this role, whether she's playing a little girl going through the grieving process or being extremely happy with this new bond that she has with her new toy M3GAN, and even at points having to get physical in the film. But seriously, ever since I've seen this young actress in Haunting on Hill House and even films like Dr. Sleep or even Black Widow, she is someone to keep an eye out for. She is a star on the rise. And speaking of stars, let's talk about M3GAN, who has, in my opinion, entered the conversation as a killer doll all-star. M3GAN is extremely intelligent. She has a drip game that it just is on point. She has punchlines that are heavy, and she has clapbacks that are unrivaled, and she is a twisted killer doll that is fantastic. She is 100% the star of this film, and she delivers in every single sense of the word, and she does not disappoint at all. Now, a few little more positive things I want to mention before we get into my criticisms. I will say I appreciated that this film was an hour and 30 minutes long. It did didn't overwhelm and stay. And another thing I want to mention, this film has some really good comedic beats. Now, obviously, comedy is very subjective. I found myself not laughing at the film, but instead laughing with the film, which I found that to be positive. Now, pivoting over to my criticisms. Now, I just mentioned how I enjoyed the comedy, but I gotta admit, I do wish that this film leaned more into the horror genre because it plays out more like a thriller in my personal opinion, which is fine. I just was hoping to get more intense, to have more violence, to have more gore, and that is not this film, which I'm not one of those believers that a great horror film has to be rated R because history has proven that the rating doesn't make it scary, but I do believe the PG-13 rating showed its hand in this film. For example, whenever M3GAN would make a kill in this film, the camera would pan away, and I wanted to see those moments. I wanted to get into the blood and the guts and the gore. But speaking of that, the film to me does take a while to kind of find its momentum, and what I mean by that is it takes about 45 to 50 minutes till we actually get our first kill scene in the film, and then even after that, there's times in which I was hoping that we would lean more into get into the craziness, the wackiness, and the film kept putting its foot on the pedal and releasing itself off the pedal, which again ties back to my comments of me wishing that they lean more to the horrific elements of this film. And then last thing I want to mention, I admire the marketing of this film. Like, the marketing was pretty spectacular with this film, but it also was a detriment to this movie. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, the teasers, the trailers, etc., it showed us everything. All the good bits were in the trailer, and it really leaves you with no surprises, except for an occasional song or two that we get from M3GAN. So I thought the marketing was fantastic, but I gotta admit, it was almost too good because they gave away all the main bits. So those are my main pros, those are my main cons. Before I give you all my score, my overall thoughts, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the thumbs up, share, comment, and subscribe. Overall, this is, as advertised, a fun, entertaining thriller with some good humor, as well as it makes time to have an actual conversation about today's reliance on technology. Now, it is also a film that I believe is one of the more welcoming universal horror films for everyone to see, but I do wish it was more gore. I do wish it leaned more into the horror elements, but overall, I would be down to see more M3GAN in the future. With that being said, I'm going to give this a solid 3.5 out of 5. Now, before I leave, just to address the elephant in the room, who is the best killer doll out there? I personally think there's a three killer dolls. There's so many dolls within the horror genre, but the three main ones to me are Chucky, Annabelle, and now M3GAN. Now, who I would pick, Chucky, hands down, is still the GOAT, but I would put M3GAN in second runner-up, and then I would have Annabelle. But let's be honest, can we get that three-way movie between those three and make it happen, Universal? Make it happen, Blumhouse? But let me know what you all thought of M3GAN once you've seen it. Again, your pros, your cons, favorite moments, least favorite moments, and again, do you want to see more from M3GAN? I personally do, and I think the Blumhouse method of putting $10 to $12 million in this film and the production is going to make that plus some this opening weekend. So I think we're going to get more of her in the future. But again, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. You all are awesome. Hope you enjoyed today's review. Just a friendly reminder before you all leave to hit the thumbs up, share the review, leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on all my new horror reviews, TV reviews, and everything we do on this channel. Thank you all for watching the review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my most recent breakdown. Check out my most other reviews, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.